So when we were graphing OR inequalities, we were looking at solving two different inequalities and then putting them together on the same graph. When we're solving AND inequalities, we have to think about it a little bit differently. I like to think of these as the three-headed dragon. So we need to do things, instead of we do them twice, like if I have 2x equals 8, I divide both sides by 2, I have to divide 2 twice. These are three-headed dragons. I have to do it 3 times. Now, what does that mean? Let's look a little closer here. We solve the middle. Here's the middle. This is what we need to solve. So I need to move the 4 away from x. How do I move the 4 away from x? I subtract the 4. Now, why is this a three-headed dragon? It's a three-headed dragon because if I subtract 4 here, I have to subtract 4 here, and I have to subtract 4 here. So instead of doing the subtract 4 twice, like normal, we have to do it 3 times for all 3 parts of the inequality: the left, the middle, and the end. Okay? So anytime you see an inequality with a middle like this, this means an AND inequality. Okay, so this is just another way to write an AND inequality. So let's keep going. We have 4 taken away from 2. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. The 4's cancel in the middle, so all I have is x. I'm going to copy down this inequality symbol, less than or equal to. I'm going to copy down this inequality symbol, less than. 9 minus 4 is 5. Now, we see that x is now by itself in the middle, which is what we want. So we know we're done solving. Now the task is figuring out how to graph. So the way that we need to break this down is it's very difficult to graph it when it's in this form. It's very difficult to graph when it looks like this. So what we need is to change this so that we can graph it. We're going to take one piece at a time. So this piece first looks like this. Negative 2 less than or equal to x. Then this piece next, what does it look like? X is less than 5. Okay, so remember, we can only trust the direction that the inequality is pointing to if the variable is on the left. So this one we can trust. This one we cannot trust. This one we trust because variable is on the left. This one we don't trust because variable is on the right. Okay, so we don't have to do anything to this one. We can leave that one just as it is. But for the other one, we need to switch it around. So to move the x to this side and to move the negative 2 to this side, I have to switch the direction of the inequality. And why is that? We notice that our inequality is pointing toward the negative 2. So when we rewrite the inequality with x on the left, we have to keep the inequality symbol pointing towards negative 2. So when we rewrite it, if we switch the order, we have to switch the direction of the inequality. It's no longer less than or equal to, it's now greater than or equal to. So now this one is done and we can trust it and graph it. Okay, so coming over here to the graph, we have x is greater than or equal to negative 2. I need a closed circle over negative 2 and then an arrow going to the right because my arrow is pointing to the right. Over here, I need x less than 5, so I need an open circle over 5. 5 is right here between 4 and 6. and then my arrow goes to the left because the arrow is pointing towards the left. Interval notation from left to right. Start over here on the left. I stop at -2 first with a bracket because I have a filled in circle. I keep going from left to right. The last thing I have is 5. I use a parenthesis because it's an open circle. So that takes care of number 6. Let's go ahead and look at number 10. So on number 10, there are a couple of different approaches you can take. One approach you can take is distributing the 2 first. So you have -2 less than 2x minus 12 less than or equal to 4. Okay, remember these problems are 3-headed dragons. So once you start solving the middle, remember you want to solve this part for x. Once you start solving the middle, you will need to do the operation 3 times, 3-headed dragon. Okay, so we begin by adding 12 because we want x to be by itself. We need to add 12. If I add 12 to the middle, I have to add 12 to the left, and I have to add 12 to the right. Okay, -2 plus 12 is 10, less than 2x is all that's left in the middle, less than or equal to less than or equal to 4 plus 12 is 16. From here, we need to divide the middle by 2 in order to solve for x. So that means I need to divide the left by 2 and the right by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Less than. These 2's cancel. All that's left is x. Less than or equal to. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I have 5 less than x less than or equal to 8. So to graph this, we need to take it one piece at a time. I have 5 less than x. I also have x less than or equal to 8. Okay, this variable's on the left. We're ready to go. We're ready to graph that one. We need to switch this one. So if I want x to be on the left and 5 to be on the right, see how the inequality is pointing towards the 5. I need the inequality to keep pointing towards the 5, so I have to switch the direction of the inequality. And now it's ready to be graphed. So x greater than 5 means I need an open circle over the number 5. And I need to go to the right after 5. X less than or equal to 8 means I need a closed circle over 8. And then an arrow going to the left after 8. Following this inequality from left to right, the first thing that we get to is 5. We use a parenthesis because we have an open circle. Continuing from left to right, the last thing that we get to is 8. On the 8, we'll use a square bracket because it's a closed circle. Okay, so go ahead and pause this video, give number 8 a try, and then come back to this video to see if you got it right. So now that you've tried number 8, let's work it together. Draw my lines here. Remember, we're trying to solve the middle for x. So our first step in solving for x, we need to add 4 to all 3 parts. 3-headed dragon. -16 plus 4, -12. 4's cancel in the middle. All we have here is 3x. And here we have 6. Divide everything by 3. So this is -4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. Now it's time to fix it so we can graph it. I have -4 less than or equal to x. I have x less than or equal to 2. Okay, so this one's ready to go. I need to switch the other one around. So I put x on the left side. I put -4 on the right side. See how the inequality is pointing towards the -4. That means I need to keep my inequality pointing towards the -4. And then we're ready to graph. X is greater than or equal to -4. Close circle over 4. Going to the right after that. X is less than or equal to 2. Close circle over 2. Arrow going to the left after that. Interval notation, starting from the left, going to the right. The first thing we get to is -4 with a bracket. The last thing we get to is 2, and we use another bracket.